Hi everyone, so today in math we're going to be talking about area and perimeter. Now, I think you guys do have a little background knowledge with this from third grade, which is good. So we're just going to continue learning about it. And in case you forgot, if it is new to you, then this lesson will definitely be helpful. So first, let's talk about what is area and perimeter. So if we have a shape, and in this case, do you see this big red rectangle? So the space inside of a shape is called the area. It's made up of like many little, you can even visualize like units, square units is how it's usually measured in, square units. And so it's the inside of the shape. It's the amount of space in it. The perimeter is kind of like the opposite. It's only the outside distance around the shape. So if we were to count, let's say in feet, if this was, I don't know, let's say this is like a garden. If I want to put fencing around the garden, I would need to know the perimeter, how long the entire garden is on all sides. So I'd have to find the distance around by adding up the sides. If I was doing a garden and I needed to know how many plants per square foot of the garden, then I would have to find the area because the garden would be on the inside. So fencing would be like the perimeter, the plants are the area. So that's kind of a helpful way to think about it. So how can we find area? Let's focus on area first and then we'll talk about perimeter. So in this example, I gave you guys a rectangle, but we can find perimeter using this strategy also for squares. We can find the area by multiplying the length by the width. So it's basically just one side of the rectangle, which is one is the width, and then the other side of the rectangle, which this is the length. So we can multiply by the sides of the shape in order to find the area. So let's find the area of this rectangle. It has 4 meters by 3 meters. So if its length is 3 and its width is 4, then we can do that simple basic fact, 3 times 4, in order to get the area of this shape. Now the long way would be to add, if you wanted to count all the squares inside of it, that would be the area too. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that would take a long time if there was more squares. So again, the quickest, easiest strategy is just to multiply. So what is 3 times 4? You should know that off the top of your head. It's a basic fact. And we get 12. So the area of this rectangle is 12 meters. All you do is multiply one side length by the other side's length. Let's try another. So here I give you a few problems to try. Finding the area of this rectangle, thinking about how the height is, or length is 5 centimeters, and the width is 7 centimeters. So what's the strategy I told you guys you can do to find area? So try to think about that. Again, this one is 10 by 9. And this one's a little bit more challenging. I gave you a 2-digit by 2-digit, so you'd have to multiply 15 times 18 using that strategy we learned a long time ago. I think it was chapter 3. We learned how to do 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication using partial products. So figure out these. You can pause the video if you need a second or a few minutes and solve these. So go ahead, pause the video, find the area of these 3 shapes. All right, so you should have paused it and solved to get the area, which is multiplying one side by the other side. And in this case, we have 7 times 5, which you should have got 35. 9 times 10 is, you should have got 90. So far, so good. And then 18 times 15, you should have got 277 centimeters. So if you had any trouble with the partial products here, 18 times 15, if you had questions about that, you can let me know. I can reteach you partial products if necessary. All right, so now let's talk about perimeter. So remember in the example I gave you in the beginning of this video, the perimeter is the outer part of a shape only. So like if you're thinking of this as, again, like a garden and I want to put fencing around it, I would only want to add together the sides of the shape. I don't need to worry about what's the area inside of it. Perimeter is only the outside. So I can find perimeter by adding all the sides lengths together. Another strategy, if you want to use multiplication, it might be a little bit easier and quicker for some of you, would be to multiply each side by 2 and then add those two answers together. So I could do 7 times 2 and 3 times 2 and add them together. See how there's 2 7s and 2 3s? It's the same as doubling it or multiplying by 2. So to find the perimeter of this rectangle, you can add all the sides together. Its width is 7 and its length is 3. So we can add 3 plus 7 plus 3 plus 7. Or again, like I was saying, the other strategy, you could do 3 times 2 plus 7 times 2. 3 times 2 would get you 6. 7 times 2 would get you 14. And then you can add those two answers together to get the perimeter of this rectangle. So go ahead and solve this. You can pause the video if you need to. Either do 3 plus 7 plus 3 plus 7 or do 6 plus 14. All right, so hopefully you did the calculations correct and you got 20 as your perimeter. So if I add 3 plus 7, that equals 10. 3 plus 7 equals 10. 10 plus 10 equals 20. So the perimeter of this rectangle is 20. So go ahead and try these now on your own. Looking at this shape, the width and length is the same. They're both 5 because this isn't a rectangle, this is a square. And a square, as we learned in a previous chapter, is that all sides are equal in length for a square. So there's a couple strategies. You can either add 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or you could even do 5 times 4 because you know that all 4 sides are the same length. This one, again, we're finding perimeter, so we're adding all the sides. So you're going to do 16 plus 9 plus 16 plus 9, or you can do 16 times 2 plus 9 times 2. And then this one, we have 8 by 3, so you can do 8 plus 3 plus 8 plus 3, or do 8 times 2 plus 3 times 2. So pause the video, find the perimeter of these shapes, and see what you get. All right, so you should have done some calculating, and hopefully you found 5 times 4 equals 20. Oh, first I forgot I gave you guys the equation. So you should do 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 5 times 4. And you should have got 20 there. For this one, you could have done 16 plus 9 plus 16 plus 9, or 16 times 2 plus 9 times 2, which equals 50. The 16 times 2 equals 32 plus 18. 32 plus 18 equals 50. And then this last one, you should have done 3 plus 8 plus 3 plus 8, or you could have done 3 times 2 plus 8 times 2, which equals 22 centimeters. 3 times 2 equals 6. 8 times 2 equals 16. 16 plus 6 equals 22 centimeters. So hopefully you got those. If you had trouble or have any questions about finding perimeter, ask and let me know. So that's pretty much it for area and perimeter. Again, just remembering area is the inside of a shape, perimeter is the outside border of a shape. Multiply to get area, and add to get perimeter. Or again, you can use that strategy by doubling the sides first and then adding. So whatever strategy worked best for you. So make sure to go on and complete the exit slip that's attached to this lesson. Go on Think Central to complete that assignment as well. And if you want to check out Freckle and Math Games for some extra practice, you can go on there as well.